Hey gang, today I want to share something that I recently learned about addEvent listener. In a previous video, the toggle class challenge, we left off with this bit of code. And if you watch that video, you remember that what we did was we created a way to click these buttons and have one of the boxes highlight. And the challenge was mostly around DOM manipulation, traveling up and down the DOM to figure out where you are. We even made it so that it's completely isolated, just like this, and it all works great. But what I learned is that we can actually pass an object as the second argument of addEvent listener. And that's very interesting. So we can actually take this part out, just cut it right to the clipboard, add an object, and the only rule here, the only single rule around passing an object is that it always has to have a handleEvent method. Inside of that, we also get past the event itself, and then we can toggle that class. Now this is going to break, and the reason that this is going to break is because, well, we're only calling the class. We aren't actually calling the function within the class. So in order to do that, we need an extra set of brackets, just like this. And now we get an error that we saw in the previous video, which is it doesn't know what this is. Okay, because it doesn't know what this is, it can't really decide what to do with the information that it has. Well, thankfully, we do get access to a context. Right now, the context is this object, right? Because the method is inside this object. But we also get the event. So we can actually go const L equals event dot target. And then over here, instead of this, we can pass dot call with L. And the first argument of dot call, thank you very much, go away. The first argument of call is this context, okay? So we are in really good shape if we've done this all right. This should all just be working now. Completely isolated, completely working. We can clear the console and move on. Of course, there's still a lot to do here because we've added a whole lot of code for what is effectively nothing. We haven't done anything magical here. So let's go and rewrite this really fast. I'm going to copy and paste all of this code here and paste it right down here. I'm going to add a comment just so that we keep a break, paste that right back in. And now we're going to move things around so that ultimately we can just pass in this function because that's how we were doing it before, right? Well, we can do that. This function right here, we just grab the whole thing, we cut it to the pasteboard, we haven't lost it, and we paste it into an object. So I had that object and I pasted it in. Now, a quick bit of cleanup here just to make sure. And again, the only rule is that it absolutely needs a handleEvent. This is all going to break because, again, it has no idea what this is, right? So there it is. We can get that with the event argument. So const L, I could have just copied that from the original thing, but here we are again, event.target, spell it right. And we change this and this to L. So for the moment, we've gotten rid of this. We will see it in a bit. Stay with me for a second, clear this out, and everything just works. But what have we done, right? We've added a little bit of complexity, and right now you're going, well, what is the point, right? And that was kind of my first thought too, is like, what is the point? But here's where it gets interesting. So we have these consts, right? We're declaring some variables, and then we have some logic. And wouldn't it be great, at least very common practice, to cut this out and make it its own function? Maybe we call it do the thing, for lack of a better word, because naming things is hard. We paste that right in there. Of course, none of this is going to work because we don't have active, we don't have active, we don't have box, and we definitely don't have class name. So let's go and add those in. We get active and box and with a comma, class name, just like this. Now, because it's all the same, we can just go and put that right down here, and it all should just work. If I clear this out, none of those errors show up. Brilliant. Okay. And this is a very common practice, to isolate the code for better maintainability, for better testing, for better performance. Okay. Except for one thing here. We've separated this into a function, but this function is really only used inside of this context. So we've created this extra thing, but it really only gets fired inside of here. And for that, maybe it would be better if we only ever added it here. In fact, because this is an object, we can very much do exactly that. So I'm going to go and copy this again, copy it, comment it out, just so that we got it. And moving down, we can start to clean this up. So instead of this function being here, maybe where we want it is right above our handle event. And we can totally do that right here. We get rid of function because it's not a function, it's a method, which structurally there is no difference, but in this case, we like to name things funny like that. So do the thing is in here, and now all we need to do is go this dot do the thing, okay? Because we're inside of this object, this returns to be whatever this object is. So it's going to go to the object, it's going to find do the thing, it's going to fire. We can totally make it work, it totally does. Brilliant. We can start to segment out our code into smaller pieces while also keeping it all in one single place. We can go further, okay? So instead, maybe we have up here, we have an L, which is currently null until we do something with it. And maybe, just maybe, we grab both of these here, cut them out, clean it up just like this, and put them right here as well. Now things are going to look a little bit weird because the formatting is not there, but we can quickly fix that. So instead of box, maybe we make it box as a function, and that function returns, not like that, curly brackets, my bad, returns that L.previous with a comma, okay? Because as an object, we need that comma. And then the same thing with active. So we get rid of active. We put some, or get rid of the const, sorry, put some brackets behind active, and wrap this in those curly brackets with a comma, and of course, return it. So we're making a bit of a hot mess here, but stay with me. This will make sense in a second. So we don't need const anymore. Instead, it will just be this dot L is whatever event.target is, okay? And everything inside of here is going to break because now we have box, we have active, and the class name comes from up here, okay? So none of these arguments are actually needed. We can clean those out. And right here, see if we can do multiple cursors. We totally can. This dot whatever it is with brackets behind it, okay? Clear out the arguments all the way down here. And if I've done this right, let's go and take a look, clear it out just so we got it. And, ooh, can't find L. I missed one, didn't I? Where is it? It is right here. I forgot. So these ones too. This dot L, clear it out one more time. And now it all just works, okay? So what have we done? Well, we've added a little bit of complexity, but at the same time, we've made it way easier to maintain, okay? We've broken these out into smaller chunks, which means that if I name this better, maybe it would make sense. Maybe we just name this to toggle, and this one is toggle, right? Because that's what it's doing. And we're starting to isolate all of this stuff while making it easier to maintain. And in fact, now we have the option of making it even more powerful by making it even more performant. And the way that we do that is by switching to a class. So if I go all the way up here, copy this one more time, copy, comment it out, and paste it, boom, just like this. So maybe instead of all of this, we grab this out, and right above it, we add a class. Now remember, class is just a syntactic sugar for the prototype chain, right? That's all we're doing here. So we're actually adding stuff to the prototype chain, which means that it only gets added to memory once, which is brilliant. That's exactly what we want, because that makes it super performant, right? It's not taking up a lot of memory for a lot of these methods, but we do have some cleanup. In fact, I did that wrong. Let's go get rid of this bracket and paste that in. And it's going to break for a second. In fact, it's going to break because I haven't added a new class name, just like this. New toggle class. Do that right. Okay. So it's going to break because, well, for one, classes don't use commas. So let's go and get rid of the commas. Comma here, going down one, comma, all the way down to this. Good. It also doesn't use the colon. Instead, it uses the equals. So we can do that. And the last part that we need is to figure out how to get class name in. Well, we can actually just pass that right through. And right here, we add in our constructor. Okay. Constructor of class name, just like this. And inside of here, we go this dot class name. Brilliant. Equals class name. Okay. So we should probably add that in. That's right here. Class name. Brilliant. Equals null. Could probably leave it just empty, but for now, class name is null. We fill it with whatever this class name is. And now we need to update 1, 2, 3. I am missing one. Where is it hiding? Oh, there it is. Number 4. Okay. To this dot class name. Now, here's hoping. Let's try it together really fast. It still works. And in fact, now we're getting really powerful because we're using, again, that class syntactic sugar to isolate these, make it really performant, while also still keeping it very modular, okay? In fact, we can go a little bit further. We could put a getter on here, make these both getters, and that way this one, this one, this one, this one. We don't actually need those because the getters act like variables. So everything just sort of works, which makes it very, very cool. In fact, it gets so cool that we can go way, way further than this. And to finish, I want to leave you with one final example. So to recap really fast, we started off with our original example and we changed it to pass in an object as that second argument to add event listener. Okay? We cleaned it up. We made it a different kind of object. We started breaking stuff apart. And then finally, we went all the way to a class-based methodology, right? A little bit of object-oriented programming, if you will, and made it so that we have all of this stuff in one single package. And to finish off, we can go just a little bit further. So I'm going to copy and paste this one more time. Copy it, paste it right down here. Whoops, I forgot to comment that. So let's go do that really fast. Comment it out. Brilliant. And paste it. There we go. Okay, so the first thing that we could do is we could just take this and paste it right here. Okay. This class name doesn't work. It needs to be the active. Okay. So we don't actually need this bit. This can just go away and it should all just work. We are moving clearly away from the original ask of the challenge, but making it easier to debug. The other thing that we can do is instead of passing in the class here, well, maybe we just pass in the class here. So we go new toggle class equals, whoops, not like that, sorry, in brackets, and we pass in the button, okay? We, as a side note, we also need to still pass in that class, but now we can just copy this, comment it out, and way up here in the constructor, we can get that. So we have the L right here. We add that in, this dot L equals L, which means that we no longer need it on the event. Get rid of all of this. Get rid of the event argument. Okay, so that's all being done. And then inside of here, we pass in the add event listener. And this is pretty magic right here. So this.l.add event listener, we're going to add click. This sort of recursion isn't going to work. We need a different thing to pass in here. And the beauty here is that we can just pass this. Because remember, when we instantiate, we get back an object with all of our different methods and properties and stuff. And that object is called this. So we pass it in, which means that if we ever needed to destroy this, right? If we had some sort of an unload or destroy method in here, well now, with less spaces, we could also do remove event listener. I'm not going to do that in the constructor, but we could also do this.l.remove event listener, and we don't need to remember any sort of special name. It just works. Okay? We just pass in this, which refers to the instantiated object, not this class specifically, but the instantiated object, or the returned object from the instantiated class, however you choose to describe that. And yeah, it just works, which means that now we still have the same functionality, but it is completely self-contained, because ultimately this toggle can only happen on an event based on a click add event listener. And all of that happens because of the magic of handle event. Remember, that's the only rule. We can pass in any object we want, and the only required part of that interface is that it has a handle event. Everything else is completely up to you. So if you have really long running code, you could totally use this method to break things apart into smaller chunks. Is this a smart plan for this challenge? Well, probably not. I mean, it was only a few lines of code, but for longer running events, right? For longer running functions that are attached to events, maybe give this one a try. See if it helps you maintain that code a little bit better. Or hit me up in the comments and let me know why this is a terrible idea. Either way, I'm very interested to see what you make. Please let me know, and I will see you